Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 529. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, and oh my goodness, I was setting up to record with our guests, and my power went out. And it turned out it just made a whole lot of sense to just, hey, I'm on my, 4G, 5G connection. I'm going to record a solo episode here real quick to keep the streak alive. And I will bring on our guests for our next episode. Really excited to have Monica Leonel from Writer MBA here next week. But the question of the week from a couple weeks back was evaluate what you're doing right now. Are you doing anything right now that you could release, that you could let go to benefit your author career? Amy Martinson said, keeping the relationships in my life healthy, all the hard work, being a self-published author would be twice as hard if we are constantly drained by the conflict in our personal lives. And she says this comes first. Absolutely. If you don't have your relationships, if you don't have your relationships in line, you don't have your health in line, it's going to be really hard to make this author career happen. So I work out every weekday. I get massages consistently. I eat a lot of healthy foods. I get my meals delivered. This was not always possible until my business was able to grow. But these are some of the things I do on a regular basis because if we don't have the health, that's not going to work. And relationships. I mean, my wife and I, we always try to take days off together when possible. We call them our day dates so that we're able to connect. I just saw my parents. They were in town, always trying to keep a really close relationship with the people who matter. There's a lot of people out there who don't matter. How much are we spending our time focusing on them? So, great point from Amy. You can answer future questions of the week over at sellmorebookshow.com or at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Top story of the week this week, Amazon's book trends. Amazon's latest promotional experiment has some authors angry while others are wondering why they're not included. Quote, you may have recently noticed a new bit of information on Amazon search and book detail pages, says Jane Friedman in her Hot Sheet newsletter. In addition to average star ratings and Goodreads stats, Amazon has started to show information about how many people have purchased or read the book recently. According to Amazon's help page for the feature labeled Book Trends, the new data shown includes the last month's purchases and KU reads over all linked book formats, including Audible. Amazon says the information is updated daily, but is currently in testing, so not all shoppers will see it. Amazon points out that the displayed data is not a sales report. Quote, it is meant to give an indication of customer engagement, and the numbers you see in your sales report will not be comparable, end quote. All books are eligible for this feature, but not all books will meet the minimum sales requirements, nor will all customers see book trends data during the testing period. While some see this just as another promotional method by Amazon, Friedman says some authors have expressed anger and frustration that what they consider private information is now being made public by Amazon. So we have been seeing this for a couple of weeks now. Underneath the review star rating, it'll say 500 have bought or read in the last week. And this is interesting. You see this all across the internet on sales pages for Shopify stores or other places where there are apps. One of them is even called Proof. It shows the proof that people have bought this book and that people have bought this product. And this has tended to help conversion on these other sites. So Amazon says, we're going to try it ourselves, which I get. They're trying to improve conversion. They're trying to get more people to buy things. But it has always been our own private data, right? I remember years ago when Data Guy came out with a report showing the top 50 selling or 100 selling authors, and people were in an uproar because they said, I don't want my data being shared. And now it's being shared 10 times, 100 times more with people seeing how many purchases have been made. But you know what? This data has never been ours. It's always been Amazon's. And Amazon has the choice. We sign away, essentially, our rights to keep these things private because Amazon is the one who owns that data. There's plenty of data we've wanted from Amazon, like email addresses of customers. We're never going to get it. But when it comes down to it, all of our data is something that Amazon can use at its own discretion, which is frustrating, but there's not much we can do about it. And really the other big story that we might even talk about a little bit next week is Amazon has now started using these AI generated reviews. And it's pulling random words from these reviews, some of which don't even make sense when mushed together. And I get it. Amazon is hoping this will improve conversion. We're not so sure. And so Amazon will probably ditch this if it doesn't improve the percentage of people buying. And you'll see it go away. But if it does improve things, if having the number of copies sold, if having these AI reviews leads to something, then hey, we are going to see something. We are going to see this feature used far and wide. Hot Potatoes of Wisdom questions: what additional information would be valuable for Amazon to add to the book trends section? So I think there is plenty of info that Amazon could share. I think that there are things they could do to emphasize the 5-star reviews over the lower reviews. You know how we end up in that situation where a most helpful review is a 3-star or a 2-star review, which we worry is going to take down our sales. Having it so that the best 5-star review is a little bit more highlighted just naturally is likely to help things like conversion, which I know Amazon is trying to improve with this feature. I think that there could be, something like a super fans kind of opinion at the top of something, why you should buy this. That kind of thing could be highlighted. But I don't know what other stats we would want in there, because if our book isn't selling as well, we don't necessarily want it highlighted how many people have bought. We would rather keep that on the down low while we're trying to figure out this marketing thing. So I'm not sure what other features we could have, but maybe that's a question of the week for later. Another question here: how much do you think these statistics mean to potential readers? Well, I think consciously these stats don't necessarily mean much, but subconsciously, especially as we've seen it on websites all across the internet, seeing person just bought this, hundreds of people have bought this. We see it in people's sales pages. Hundreds of people have bought this. Thousands of people have bought this. It matters on a subconscious level. So do I think it matters on the outside? No. Do I think it matters on the inside? Possibly. And so we should definitely consider how much things like this could matter, especially if we are selling direct. Maybe it makes sense to list somewhere that social proof of how many people have bought something, how many people are interested in something. So I'm really excited to go into the additional things here, the lightning round. I don't usually get to make a lightning sound. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go for it all. So there's my lightning sound for today. So lightning round questions for today. Coming straight from Roland Denzel, the handsomest man in news collection. Tip or question 1: what is your best tip for eliminating distractions? So if I'm trying to eliminate distractions, folks, I am going to go into apps. I'm going to get things that block my distractions. For instance, freedom.to. This is an app that will block things on my desktop computer, will block things on my phone. And so this is what I tend to go to first. But you know what? You can be simple. You can get rid of the internet on your computer when you're trying to work. You can turn on airplane mode, focus mode on your phone. You don't just have to be in an airplane to turn on airplane mode. You can absolutely use this to get fewer distractions. And here's another thing. This is another simple trick. You can turn off the notifications in any of your apps so that they don't interrupt you when you're trying to do something else. Question number 2. What do most authors fail to master in business that keeps them from reaching their goal? So I think authors, and I was just talking about this with Monica before our recording went south. I think a lot of authors really fail to master cash flow and having cash reserves and being able to invest in things or being able to plan ahead with the money that they have, because a lot of authors, I think, just spend it as soon as it comes in. And this is not everybody, but this is a lot of authors that I've had the privilege of working with, is that the money goes out as quickly as it comes in and they aren't keeping strong track of it. So I think something to consider mastering as an author would be to focus on, can we project our cash flow ahead? Cash flow, the money of amount of cash you have coming in, amount of cash you have going out. Can you keep better track of it going forward? That is something to consider. Another question here is, how often do you revisit your goals for your author business? And so I have some goals that I actually visit on a daily basis. I have talked about how woo-woo I am on the program. I do some affirmations. I have some apps that I like the Law of Attraction Toolbox. And I will say affirmations to myself about some of the goals that I'm focusing on. But there are also some goals that I write down once and then I never look at again. And so I think that it is worth writing goals down for sure. They're a lot more likely to happen. There have been studies on this. But if you, for any particular reason, have not seen your goals coming into reality, it makes sense to visit them more frequently. The more frequently, the better. All right, going into question number 4. So when an author is used to selling a certain amount of books and the numbers go down, what can the author do about it? So if you are an author who has seen a certain amount of sales and you see those numbers go down, try to figure out the pattern. Try to figure out what you've done in the past that has helped your sales go up, and what you might have done less of in the present that might be making your sales go down. I was just talking with an author who found that in her best month of sales ever, she spent 4 times as much on ads as she did in her recent session her recent month where she sold a whole lot less. And so some of at least one thing she was able to identify was the amount of ad spend. And so it's going to be different for everybody. But can you find a trend? Can you find a reason why this happened the way that it did? Because if you can find the reason behind it, you might be able to fix the problem. And so last question of the lightning round. What sort of criteria do you use to decide if a change in your process or your tools is right for you? So there are so many things you can do as an author, and maybe you take to a certain thing, and maybe you work on it for months and months and months, and you're into it, and it's part of your routine, and you're so excited about it, but results are not actually there. And you have to kind of decide, am I focused on getting things checked off my list, or am I focused on results? Because if you are focused on results and you want to grow your results, you need to determine what it is that I am doing that is working and what it is that I'm doing that is not working. You go back to the Pareto principle, the 80-20. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. What on your agenda is one of those 80% things that is not leading to results? because there's definitely some stuff you're doing that is not leading to results, and you need to consider pulling back from it. Be willing to take everything out if it needs to be. Start over smaller, because it is possible that even just a small change in your process can make a big difference. But chances are you need to reevaluate consistently the processes you are doing to ensure that they are actually leading to results. We need a question of the week, and I want to go into our book trends, this new feature on Amazon. So, what additional information would be valuable for Amazon to add to the book trends section? What do you think would be a cool thing that Amazon has in its data that we don't have, that it could display frequently and all over the Amazon sales pages? You can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or at sellmorebookshow.com. Folks, if you are an author earning over $2,500 a month in royalties, I have my Pathfinders coaching group. We are accepting applications for just a couple more days now. You can find out more by emailing us at brian@sellingforauthors.com. I'm opening up a second group this year because I've had so much great success with the first group, with one author selling over 20,000 copies in a single week, another author having her first $100,000 month, and several other authors having their best year ever. I get so excited by other people's results. And so if you are in that boat where you are looking to scale up, reach out to us at Brian, BRYAN, at sellingforauthors.com. Thank you for listening to this super short episode of the Sell More Book Show. I am sorry that it didn't quite work out as planned, but hopefully, even with no power to speak of, this episode does something for you. Thank you. I hope you have a great week of book selling, everybody, and we'll be back next week with episode 530. Bye, everybody.